Welcome to Web3 and Me, presented by FLOLiO. In this episode, we are going to be recapping the last few days in the NFT and crypto markets. There's a lot going on out there, a lot for us to discuss, including the burning process for Damien Hirst, the currency, the ledger drop that took place yesterday, the run that the 9-gag Potatoz are on, Goblintown news, rags to riches, all sorts of good stuff. I am joined, as always, by Dan Bondalock. Dan, how are we doing today?
I'm good. Dare I say I'm doing great, and
He's doing great.
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. And you?
Fantastic.
Doing good?
Okay. I'm doing good, man. Before we get into it, please, I'm begging you, like today's episode, subscribe to our channel, and head to FLOLiO.com and check out all of the tools that we have over there. Our NFT portfolio tools are doing great. Our browser extension is continuing to improve day after day, adding new data that I find to be personally very useful. So these are all things that I use in my NFT buying decisions. So I recommend you check them out too. So Dan, let's jump right into it. It's been an interesting few days in the crypto market. We saw a big run up last week, and not too surprising, we are seeing a big pullback this week. On Sunday, crypto, the price of ETH got up to about 1660 just for a split second. And now, as we record this, we're sitting at a price of 1370. So we've seen a pretty big pullback. How have you been feeling about ETH, and it as it relates to NFTs as well?
Honestly, we saw it go over 1600, and then it was kind of like dipping below and then kind of testing the 1600 limits, right? And yeah, we saw it to last night, at least yesterday. We saw it dip below 1400 again. Is this related to because the US was reporting something, right? I don't know if it's inflation or.
Yesterday, the big news was Walmart had their Q2 earnings report, and it was very bad, and it offered very poor guidance moving forward, basically showing that there is more supply than they were expecting to still have. People are tightening up their wallets, which is not shocking at all considering the rise of inflation. And so, we're seeing that today as well of, all right, people are spending less. We have to account for that in earnings reports moving forward. So therefore, it's understandable that crypto would be going down. We have a ton of stuff happening this week. Later in a few hours, Microsoft and Alphabet, who's the parent company of Google, report their Q2 earnings. If those aren't good, watch out, because I think we're going to see ETH get down into the 1200s again. Tomorrow, we have Jerome Powell's news conference about what the Fed is going to think or decide over in the U.S. from an interest rate standpoint. The belief is it's going to be 75 basis points. It wouldn't shock me if he pulled 100 out, especially if we're seeing these inflation numbers continue to go up. Thursday, we see the first GDP numbers in the US. I'm trying to keep this short, but there's a lot going on. So Thursday, we see the first GDP numbers for Q2, which could confirm a technical recession for the United States. And then on Friday, there are more earnings coming out with, I believe, Apple and Amazon. So there's a shit ton of stuff going on this week. I put out a tweet saying, just be prepared. We could see a lot of blood. Don't panic. Don't make emotional decisions right now, because that's the last thing you want to do. I'm sitting in a lot of stable coins right now, and I'm ready to pull the trigger if we see a substantial pullback, but I'm not rushing into anything. So that's kind of an update on the bigger macro things to look at when making these decisions.
Yeah, it seems like a good, opportunity to buy, right? At least once we have all the earnings, and if they are bad and we see crypto bleed, it might be a good chance.
Yeah, I mean, my plan is to slowly start to average in once, I still think we're seeing ETH going below 1300. I think that's going to happen. So I'm going to start buying back in at that level, because will it go up right away? No, I don't think we're going to see some sharp bounce up. I think this is going to be a slow bleed that may have to sustain for a while, but I'm okay riding that out because I do think that long term we're going to be all right. So, ETH is dipping pretty hard. Bitcoin is holding up better than ETH. It's right around 20,000, almost 21. And then I'm also watching closely ApeCoin, because I moved out of my ApeCoin position with the expectation of buying back in if it gets under 5, because I think that we are going to see Ape under 5 again. So those are really the three main coins that I'm tracking at the moment, with the expectation of moving some funds into them if we hit good buying opportunities. And then in the NFT markets, I'm concerned there as well, because we have we've seen volume start to go back down even when ETH was around 1600, And I think if we see the floor bottom out on ETH, that could definitely spook enough people to where, I'm viewing this as a opportunity to buy ETH if it crashes hard. And then if people panic and they start accepting really low ball offers on what I view as high quality NFTs, I think this is a opportunity for those who are prepared for it. Like you and I back in January started talking about taking profits early in the year. Like we were really beating that drum, both of us. And I think this is the exact moment that this could pay off if you took those profits and you're ready to deploy them if people start panicking.
Yeah, so I got a question for you. If Bored Ape would go under 70, would you consider buying one again? Like with ETH being 1300, I think.
Like if ETH goes to like 1200, I would probably, I would be targeting it at like 60. If it goes to 60, I'm definitely buying. If the floor goes down to 70, I'm going to start throwing out offers at like 55 and just see what happens. And the same thing with like Bored Ape Kennel Dogs, and we're going to talk about this later in the week, but I think there's opportunity there. I think there's a lot of projects that could cause, a bit of a recovery in NFTs. And like I said, we'll talk about those on Friday's show, but that's where I'm going to be concentrating my attention if that's the case. So, that's, I feel like, a decent recap of crypto and NFT markets. Anything you want to add on there before we move into some of the news of the week?
No.
Okay, cool. So right off the bat, first thing, Damien Hirst, he is a very well-known IRL artist. His project, The Currency, the burning process for that ends today. There's been a lot of trading volume around that. I'm going to quickly pull up the 24-hour chart over on FLOLiO.com, where I highly recommend you go for all of your NFT information. But we can see here that The Currency is actually in the top 10 on 24-hour volume. It's not hard to be in the top 10 right now because no one's buying shit. But all it takes is, let's see, about 212 ETH traded to be in the top 10 at the moment, which is not great. But The Currency is there. The floor price, when I last updated, was 6.42. We've seen, decent number of transactions, people trying to get their physical through the burn mechanism before that shuts down. I'm interested to see what happens to the price of that. I have to imagine initially it goes down, but as people realize that, these are the only NFTs of it that there will ever be, does that induce a recovery at some point? I'm not quite sure. Any thoughts on the Currency by Damien Hirst?
I don't know much about Damien Hirst, The Currency. I saw it pop up once. Was it like an airdrop? I don't remember it being a mint.
It minted quite a while ago. I'm not totally sure when it came out. Let me look it up real quick on OpenSea.
Because I know it was a, if I recall correctly, it was like a gift or like a airdrop as a reward for something.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the supply is down to 1882 from, I don't know if it was a 10K or not, but a lot of people are burning these. This actually came out a year ago. So it was an airdrop. It was an airdrop back in August of last year. Great memory, Dan. Jeez, you are sharp. I love it. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because this is a very, pretty well-known and fairly well-respected artist who created this NFT project, and they're going to be physical. There's going to be digital. I think it's a good blend of the two. So that's The Currency. Our next piece of news is going to be actually the top item here on the charts, which is the Ledger Market Pass. So there was a allow list mint for it, and then whatever was left went into the wait list. So it sold out at 10K. We have a floor right now of just under 0.6. Dan, were you keeping track on this Ledger mint?
I applied for the pre-mint. Didn't get selected, and then looked at it when it was 0.4, and I was like, do I want to pull the trigger on 0.4? I wasn't too sure.
Okay. Yeah, from what I can understand of this project is, Ledger is launching their own like NFT. It's not really a marketplace. It's somewhere for creators to, mint out projects that is more secure than most websites, which I think is a good thing. But I don't know what this pass, like, does it get you free NFTs? Does it get you on the allow list for something that's minting out on that site? Like, do you know anything about that?
I don't think I don't recall reading something like that on their website now when they were talking about the benefits.
Yeah, I was looking through their Twitter. I didn't see a whole lot of information as far as like what the pass gets you. I mean, there's also going to be, holders I think are going to get maybe like a free ledger and like some other benefits that way. So I think point 0.4 was probably a good price to get in, and I saw it at 0.42. I was right behind you, and I also didn't pull the trigger. But I think it's not the worst thing in the world if you're looking to move into something that could provide value long term, but it's not going to be like, I don't think it's gonna be a quick 10x or anything. Like I don't see these running up to
Yeah,
multiple.
yeah,
Maybe they get to 1 ETH, but I don't
yeah,
see it moving much past that.
yeah. There isn't much growth available in this project, and
Yeah.
that's also because you get an exclusive limited edition ledger, which
Hmm.
looks cool, and then you get some ledger software that you can only access if you're a holder, which is also cool. But the real question is like no one knows what's in this like application, this software, and
Yeah.
like if it isn't as amazing as what I mean, our stuff is free, right? Like I mean,
Yeah.
you do not have to pay point 0.6 to access it. So
No, you
um
don't.
so yeah, like I said, I don't think there's too much growth available in the ledger project, but yeah, who knows, maybe one ETH
I
at this very
I
peak.
do think it could provide value, but just don't be going into it expecting to make a ton of money.
Mm.
So moving on, also on this list is the Potatoz by 9gag. They have had a pretty strong week. This was one of those projects that it ran up right after mint to, I want to say, around point 0.5. And then we saw a little bit of a pullback, but over the weekend, it held pretty strong, especially after they revealed and you could see the rarities of them.
Yeah, so it was interesting because it's a free mint, right? So we saw them mint out. Like you said, they went pretty quickly to point 0.4, point 0.5. Market has decided the price, and they ran up to point 0.6
Yeah,
pre-reveal,
they're okay.
and then they revealed. Then it went down to point 0.4, and then bounced back a few hours later to point 0.6, and then ran up all the way to point 0.9, and now they're 0.66. So they still held pretty well.
Yeah, it looks like they were 0.95 on Saturday,
Yeah.
and they've been kind of just trading, like chopping sideways in this range, which is pretty strong. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think this is one of those opportunities where if like people are taking low offers on the more rare ones, that could be worthwhile. But I'm not too familiar with 9gag and what this whole project is that they're trying to create.
Yeah, buying in at 0.66 is kind of rough. I bought two at I think 0.49, and I sold
Okay,
one at zero point 0.8, I think, for the flip.
look at
Um,
Dan.
I
What
wanted
a
to buy
stud.
three. I wanted to buy three, right? Because we have the whole buying, like selling one and then selling one for profit and then holding one. But I was like, I don't have this much ETH to spend, so I chose to do two instead. I think there's definitely value to still hold one because it
Hmm.
does give you access to meme land in the future. They're gonna have like a 9gag like token or like yeah like a token. So I think there's definitely value to be holding one. I don't know about holding multiples though.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know either. It's something I'm probably not going to put a whole lot of time into, but you know, we'll see how this one goes. I don't have a super strong opinion either way
Mm.
on it. So one thing that has caught people's attention in the last 24 hours is Goblintown put out a little thread that is showing what is going to happen kind of with these McGoblin burgers over the coming days. So beginning Friday, you're going to be able to use your McGoblin burger to try and catch one of these little guys. Um, Not sure what that is. It's a little blue thing. It kind of gives similar vibes to like what Azuki did with beans. Like it
Uh-huh.
seems like it's some kind of little companion drop. So you'll be able to beginning Friday, and you'll have a 3 week period of time. You can set a trap with your McGoblin burgers, and they also have the one of ones. There's only like 10 of them, but you can use. We talked about multiple burgers, and I wish that there was a translator for when they do their stupid messages like this, because I can't read what the hell they're talking about here. But you'll be able to use multiple burgers in the traps. This kind of art style is pretty cool. You're trying to capture your little guy here. There's still no clarification on whether or not more burgers gets you more of them or a higher quality. But it's an interesting mechanism for a mint. It is and it isn't like the way that BAYC did their serums, and that like those were just airdropped different rarities, but these you can combine and create different rarities. Dan, how you feeling about the goblins and the McGoblin burger?
Yeah, I was just trying to read what the hell they were writing. I was like saying in my head, like, it was kind of hard to decipher, but
same, yeah.
I wonder. Looking at that sneak peek, I wonder. It doesn't look like the typical goblin style, right? I'm afraid it might have like a beans like response where it's like kind of disappointed maybe, but we have to wait and see.
Yeah, the beans. So here's what's something that I'm like going back and forth on is, there's 10,000 goblins, and there's only like 8,600 of the burgers. Actually, no, 8,200. 8,279 is the supply. And if you're going to have to burn multiple of them, and say you burn multiple and it just gets you a higher quality of the companion, we're going to see a supply of these companions that's probably like 60%, maybe 70% of the number of goblins. What does that do to the price of it? Like, I don't expect it to surpass goblins, but I think it's going to be we've talked in the past, Dan, about the typical pricing ratio for, the original compared to the companion is like a 5-to-1 has been pretty consistent. I don't think that that's going to be the case for these, especially if the supply is lower.
Yeah.
And, right now we're also seeing the the burgers are trading for like 1.59 ETH, and actual goblins are only trading for 2.75. So there's a big discrepancy there. Or like not a very big discrepancy there. Like that's pretty close, for the OG compared to whatever you want to consider this new one, like the NFT you're going to need to create the companion. So I think we're going to see, what would your strategy be? I'm going to throw this one at you off the cuff. Like, what would your strategy be if you held the McGoblins? Would you say you had 3 burgers? Would you put them all into one, knowing what we know now, or would you separate them over 3 different ones so you could have multiple?
Yeah, I would definitely split them over multiple. I feel like it's a little bit too close to the main collection, right? I understand. I don't think they're gonna go towards the 5-to-1 ratio or the 1-to-5 ratio, but they're almost 1-to-1. I think it's kind of odd. I can see them go down to 1 ETH, 0.8 perhaps after reveal, and I doubt that the stacked burgers one are going to be like way more expensive than just the floor ones.
So do you think this is a situation where selling the burger now before the trapping process, if you will, is the right play?
I'd say so. I'd probably wait as long as possible. But like, I don't know too much about the project. I don't know the upsides to having a McGoblin. But just looking at the numbers, I think selling right now is a decent idea.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably, if you're in it purely on the financial side of things, not financial advice, by the way, nothing we've said is financial advice. Please don't sue us. But yeah, if you're purely on the financial side of things, you're just trying to stack ETH, I think that selling your burger now is probably the best approach to take.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to win the lottery, right? So
no.
I think just looking at the numbers, just purely from a financial perspective, it's almost like, what do they call the lottery? Like a loser's tax or something, or like a dumb people tax or something. I think that you're probably better off just selling now and then rebuying after the reveal. I think that's the right call, Dan. And you're very smart, so I'm going to defer to you on that one. I'm not very smart, but
yes, he is. He's the smartest guy on here. Let's move on. So I can't pronounce this next one, so I'm going to let you do it.
Yeah, it's Isekai Meta. They minted a few days ago, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, and it was for pretty, like it was for a lot. It was 0.25. They have this classic Studio Ghibli appeal to them. I don't know if JWeb knows what Studio Ghibli is, but
educate me.
it's like one of like it's like an anime studio from like the 90s essentially. They made like one of the highest rated like movies of all time essentially. Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, very very big popular. My Neighbor Totoro. So those like movies are basically like maybe top 25 highest rated movies all time. They have this distinct look to them that Isekai Meta captures as well, and we haven't really seen that thus far in the NFT world. And it's always a little bit weird because Isekai Meta is currently pre-reveal at 0.36 and mint being 0.25. It's essentially the same as if the mint was 0.05 and the floor is like 0.07, right? So, and this with higher floor prices and a higher mint, we usually see the floor fall much more in percentages compared to cheaper mints. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go down to like 0.2 or like 0.25 after reveal. But then again, I don't exactly know what they're going for. So
yeah, I once again not too familiar with this one. At this point, like selling pre-reveal is usually the right play because you're pretty much gonna be able to take profit and buy back in if you believe in what they're creating long term. So on the discussion of rug pulls, this is a potential one that I'm steering clear from. It is Rags to Riches by the artist Alec Monopoly. So I know this guy, he's an artist in the real world who uses like Monopoly characters in a lot of his work. This was a 0.5 ETH mint.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, which leads me to believe that it's just a quick cash grab. They minted 33 of them. So that's quite a bit of money right there. The floor is already up to a little over 1 ETH pre-reveal. And to me, this is another, like, just do yourself a favor and stay away from this. I don't see a world in which these hold up post-reveal, in which there's much value in it long term. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just not something that, I've heard enough bad things from people about this guy and about this project to where this is a hard pass for me. And if it looks like a rug and it smells like a rug, it's probably a rug, Daniel.
Yeah, and I heard that he was inactive on Twitter for like 9 years or something prior to posting this project. So maybe they needed money. I don't know.
Maybe he needs money to settle his lawsuits from the Monopoly people who are coming after him. I don't know.
They should, right? There's no way they just let him do this.
Yeah, I don't see this ending well. If you bought into this and you can get out now, once again, not financial advice, I think that's probably the smart approach to take. Dan, we have a couple more things to cover. Let's get into Mystics. I want you to lead the way on this one. Educate me on the Mystics project, where you think it's going.
Yeah, so Mystics, I recorded a video on this, I think yesterday, and I wanted to kind of revise it because I said I might see them go to 0.3, but the market's been so bad recently that it might be difficult for them to perform very well post-mint. So they minted for like 0.025 or something. It's a very cheap mint. And they are currently at 0.11 or 0.12. But the thing is that they basically started advertising their project around the time that Invisible Friends was big. And then we also saw the derivative project. What is it called again? Invisible Ones. I think Invisible Ones? I don't recall. Maybe something close to Invisible Ones. And they got into some legal trouble with the co-founder of Invisible Friends because the Mystics and the Invisible Friends, they kind of look similar, and they also use the walk. And that walk in specific is apparently copyrighted. So
you can copyright a walk?
You can copyright everything, I think, right?
Okay. I'm
But
gonna copyright our intro to this.
we should, honestly, and we should also copyright my buy at the end.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye bye. And they sent a email to the founder of that school or something. It's complicated. The founder of the project is part of like a school or something, like a design school, and a bunch of legal stuff. And they are basically like, hey, can I use this walk in my own style and stuff? And they were essentially like, yeah, just you credit like the school or something. So I guess that's all fine. But that's like stuff from like 2 or 3 months ago, and I guess that kind of put a halt to their hype. But yeah, reveal is in 4 days from now, the 30th, and curious to see where they go. I looked at the team, and it's funny. Okay, their core team. Guess this. Their core team is 1 founder and 5 advisors. That's their core team. It's just people advising them.
Okay. Yeah.
Him at least. And then it's 4 artists, and I think 1 is hired. So like 1 is temporary, I think. So I don't think this is a team that can really deliver, right? It's 1 person with 5 advisors that aren't even really part of like the team, right? They're just advising the person leading it. And then there's artists. I don't think they can achieve great things on long term.
No, I don't think so either.
And I'm holding some, so I'm fighting my own bags here, guys.
I mean, sometimes, yeah. Listen, we're about honesty and transparency here on this show. Talking about projects that aren't going to make it. I would like to take a moment of silence for our friends over at the Koala Intelligence Agency. That project officially died today. They announced that they are no longer doing anything with it. They've completed 2 roadmaps, they claim, with the exception of 1 piece of the roadmap, which I believe was a pretty important piece. And so now they are moving on and making it a community-run project, which is basically to say, we've made our money. We're not seeing the floor price go up, so peace out. I'm looking right now. We don't have the historical data back to when it minted because this project launched almost a year ago. But I'm going to go ahead and share. Dan, take that drink, swallow that water now before you see this price graph. I don't want you to spit all over your screen.
No, I know. I remember this project.
Look at that graph.
Yeah, it's dead and dead. Like
that is just deader than disco, man. That is bad.
Why does this remind me of Zagabond? Like, why does this project give me Zagabond vibes?
But
yeah, they minted.
It hit the floor. It got up
in August. So that's 4K ETH.
Yeah. These were pumping, and then it took a sharp downturn. It kind of died, and then it just flatlined.
Yeah, they run really early on, I believe.
It is just so bad. I was fortunate enough to make a nice little chunk of change.
Oh, nice.
Flipping those, like when it launched, when they revealed, I bought a few that I figured were rare before like the rarity scores came out, and it turned out to be so. Like I flipped a laser beam eye one. Like I bought it for 1 ETH and flipped it for 10 in like a week. Like, so I will always appreciate, and then I moved that money right into Bored Ape Yacht Club stuff. So I will always appreciate Koala Intelligence Agency for giving me more capital to move into higher quality projects. But, I feel for anyone who has been holding out hope there. I think at this point this was all kind of to be expected. Like, I don't think anybody who's been around for a while expected that one to miraculously bounce back. But anytime you confirm that, an old project like that is calling it quits, it's a bit sad for the holders. I got to feel for them.
Yeah, because the person buying it for 10 ETH probably like took a fat L on it.
Yeah, they probably did. I'm a little curious to see what happened with that particular asset.
My guess is they sold it for 1 ETH 2 days later or something.
Let's see if I can find it. I'm looking. Where is she? She was a cute little koala with laser beam eyes. I think this may be her. No. All right. We don't need to spend too much time on this, but I'm just really interested to see what freaking. Oh, was it this one? No. All right. Anywho, the people who minted the rares and have held them to the grave, you know, more power to you, I guess. But I'm glad I got out of these when I did. So, Dan, any final words before we send the people out of here?
Check out their website, FLOLiO, and it's free. Free tools, free analytics, free browser extension. And that's about it.
I know the markets are down, folks, but we're going to continue to be here putting out content, helping you navigate this crazy NFT and crypto market that we're in. So please, one final time, like today's show, subscribe to our channel, head to FLOLiO. And if you find any of this stuff useful at all, please share it with any friends that you know that are involved in NFTs or looking to get involved. We have plenty more great content coming out that we're working on. So for Dan, for the entire team at FLOLiO, I am Jeremy. Have a great day, everybody. We will see you next time.
Bye-bye.